It's really something, isn't it? How
Yeah.
fast the whole world of creative work
Yeah.
is changing.
It really is.
And right now, generative AI feels like one of the biggest drivers of that change. It's not just talk anymore. It's really impacting how art gets made, how we see it, and, well, it's raising some huge questions for artists.
Absolutely. It's a really complex and fast-moving area we're getting into today. For this deep dive, we've looked into how art, copyright, and AI are all colliding.
Okay.
Our mission really is to unpack the big challenges artists are facing with these new technologies, get a handle on the debates happening, and, try to figure out what this all means for the future of creativity itself.
Okay, so let's start there. Generative AI for art. What are we actually talking about?
Okay, so basically in image creation, these are AI systems, algorithms that take text prompts, descriptions you type in,
Right.
and turn them into pictures, often incredibly quickly, like in seconds. And the scale is just massive. Billions of images have been churned out on these platforms in a pretty short time frame.
Billions.
Yeah.
That number's hard to even wrap your head around. And it's not just for pros, right? These tools are everywhere now.
Exactly. That's a huge part of it. The traditional skills you needed, the training, much less of a barrier now. Anyone with an idea and, well, an internet connection can basically generate visuals.
And that ease, that sheer volume, that seems to be where a lot of the anxiety from artists is coming from. What are their biggest worries?
Well, a huge one is where the AI gets its education, the training data.
Yeah.
These models learn by looking at just immense amounts of existing images.
Okay.
And a lot of that data comes from scraping the internet, just automatically pulling down images. And that includes tons and tons of art posted online by human artists.
So artists are seeing their own work being used to teach these AI systems, but without, permission or payment.
That's right at the heart of it, yeah. Many feel it's basically copying. Their styles, sometimes even specific pieces, are being learned and then replicated by the AI. And these AI images can then pop up and compete directly with their own original work. There's this strong feeling of being exploited, really.
And it goes deeper than just one picture being copied, doesn't it? It's about their style, their artistic identity.
Exactly. For an artist, their style is, well, it's years of work, of finding their voice, seeing an AI mimic that almost instantly. It's deeply unsettling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It makes them worry about, the value of human skill. If the market gets flooded with AI stuff that looks similar, what happens to them?
You hear some stories and it just sounds, well, dehumanizing. There was one case involving an artist with a really unique look that kind of crystallizes all this.
Yes, that's a really telling example. This artist, known internationally, had this style blending different cultural things, this sort of painterly quality, even some, animation influences.
Very distinctive.
Very highly praised,
Yeah.
And then they found themselves in a situation where that originality was really put to the test.
How so? What happened?
Well, another piece of art surfaced that looked incredibly similar to one of their own photographs, actually. A well-known one, award-winning.
Oh, wow.
And this new piece also got a lot of attention, won awards, claimed as original, which you can imagine felt like a real slap in the face.
What were the similarities? Was it obvious?
Pretty striking, yeah. The composition was basically flipped, a mirror image. The person in it looked almost identical to the original model. Even small details like how fabric draped or little elements like petals were replicated very closely.
Okay, so it's easy to see why the original artist felt they had to do something. What were they hoping to achieve by taking legal action?
Well, they were quite clear it wasn't just about money. It was more about, raising awareness, highlighting this whole issue of copying and protecting creative work.
Right.
Initially, the defense argued it was fair use. They claimed the new piece was transformative.
Transformative. Can you break that down a bit?
Yeah.
What does that mean in fair use terms?
Sure. So basically, for using copyrighted stuff to count as fair use, especially creatively, it often needs to transform the original. It has to add something new, a different message or character. It can't just be a substitute for the original.
Got it. So the argument was that this new painting had changed the photo enough.
That was the claim, yeah. But the artist argued, no, the similarities were just too much. It wasn't really transformative. But ultimately, the court actually ruled against the artist initially.
Really? That must have been devastating. Why? What was the court's thinking?
Well, part of the reasoning was that some elements in the original photograph, like the pose, were deemed sort of classic and maybe lacked enough originality for full copyright protection in that specific way.
Oof, that's complex.
It was definitely a blow, and it seemed to suggest that maybe some core creative decisions weren't fully protected, which is worrying for any artist.
And the fallout didn't stop there, did it? There was online stuff too.
Sure. No, unfortunately not. The case got a lot of online attention, and the artist ended up facing a torrent of online harassment. Awful stuff, threats. It just shows how toxic these debates can get.
That's terrible. Just
Ugh.
awful. And then on top of all that, generative AI arrives and creates a whole new set of problems for the same artist.
Exactly. They discovered people were using their name, their actual name, and descriptions of their work as prompts in these AI image generators.
No way.
Yeah. Churning out tons of images, mimicking their unique style. Sometimes it even felt targeted, like using the AI copy as another form of harassment. It's this cruel irony, right? The very style they fought to protect was now being mass-produced by AI.
And it taps into that whole misunderstanding, that dangerous idea that if you post your art online, it's suddenly free for anyone to use,
Eh.
even for AI training.
That's such a critical point. People really misunderstand copyright online. Posting your work doesn't mean it's public domain. It doesn't grant rights for scraping or AI training. And this artist really spoke out against that.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about the people who are excited about this tech? The AI proponents, the ones actually using it.
Right. So from their perspective, it's often seen as a collaboration, human and machine working together.
Mm.
They focus on crafting the right text prompt to guide the AI.
Like prompt engineering, or sometimes they call it promptography.
Yeah, things like that. They emphasize the speed, the ease, how it opens up visual creation to people maybe without traditional art skills. It's seen as democratizing in a way.
But how do they answer the copyright concerns? The style imitation.
Well, a key argument you hear is that style itself can't be copyrighted. They argue the AI isn't copying specific works, but learning underlying patterns from, millions of images and then generating something new based on those patterns.
Mhm.
Some compare it to past tech shifts, like how photography changed painting. They see AI as just the next tool in the evolution of creativity.
So the argument is creativity always builds on what came before, and AI is just doing that in a new, powerful way.
That's a big part of it, yeah. They'd say creativity is always about remixing experiences and influences, and AI is just a sophisticated way to do that same kind of synthesis.
Given how worried artists are, though, are there ways they're trying to protect themselves? Any tools or initiatives popping up?
Yes, definitely. Things are happening. There's one platform now where artists can check if their work is in some of the big AI training data sets,
Oh, interesting.
and it lets them signal they want their stuff excluded from future training. But, its reach is limited. There are lots of other data sets out there.
And that artist we were talking about, they took a pretty bold step after some platforms changed their policies on AI training, right?
It really did. When some big online art sites basically started opting users in to having their work used for AI training by default, this artist actually founded their own social media platform.
Wow.
Yeah, one designed specifically to be AI training free. And apparently, a lot of artists moved over there looking for a space where they felt their work was safer.
That's a huge move. Shows the strength of feeling. Are there other, maybe more technical ways artists are trying to shield their work?
Yes, there are tools being developed too. One example is something called Glaze or tools like it. They subtly alter digital images in ways we can't see, but it confuses the AI web scrapers.
Like digital watermarking, but to mess with the AI.
Sort of, yeah. The aim is to make it harder for the AI models to accurately learn the artwork style from scraped copies, like a cloaking device for art.
Clever. And legally. That artist's fight didn't end with the first court decision?
No, that's right. They appealed the copyright ruling and actually won the appeal.
Good.
Yes, the higher court agreed their work had been copied without permission. That was a significant victory. And building on that, they've now joined a larger class action lawsuit with other artists taking on some major AI companies over alleged mass copyright infringement.
So the legal battles are definitely heating up. And it's not just individual artists. We're seeing big organizations getting involved, too.
Absolutely. There's that major lawsuit from a big news publisher against an AI firm, accusing them of scraping millions of articles for training data. Same fundamental questions about copyright and unauthorized use.
Right.
Plus, you're even hearing concerns from some engineers within the AI field about, the risks of moving too fast without enough thought about the consequences. Calls for more caution.
It just highlights how the law, in most places anyway, is playing catch-up with the technology.
That's the crux of it. It's a huge challenge. Some places are starting to make rules. China's recognized copyright in AI art. The EU has its AI Act framework, but many countries are still figuring it out.
Hmm.
So you have this constant push and pull, AI companies arguing fair use, creators saying illegal copying. And looming over it all is the issue of consent, especially regarding user data from online platforms being used for training.
Looking down the road, what are the bigger worries, ethically,
Yeah.
culturally, if AI keeps generating more and more content?
Well, one concern is what happens if AI starts learning mostly from other AI generated stuff? Could creativity become kind of bland,
It's
homogenized?
a feedback loop of sorts.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of deepfakes, manipulation, if AI content becomes totally indistinguishable from human work. It's interesting, too, how differently AI developers and artists often see these potential long-term impacts.
Okay, so if we try to boil it all down, what's the core tension we're seeing here?
I think it's really this clash between the amazing, undeniable creative potential of this AI technology
Right.
and the totally legitimate fears artists have about their rights, their control over their own creations, and frankly, the future of their livelihoods.
And the legal systems are just scrambling to keep up, which adds another layer of uncertainty.
Totally. The law is evolving as we speak, and there aren't any easy answers right now. This conversation is definitely going to be shaping the creative world for a long time to come.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with some big questions, doesn't it? As AI gets woven more deeply into how things are made, what's left that's uniquely human about art? How do we possibly balance pushing technology forward with protecting actual human creativity, our culture? And maybe most importantly, what part do we all play as people who look at art, consume media, maybe even create things ourselves, and deciding what that future looks like? Definitely something to think about.